Hofmeister kink is and a gurney lip, but I don't know how to change the spark plugs in an M3. My car has about 60,000 miles on it. I think it's about due, and I think I could figure out how to change these plugs myself. Let's get started. Here's the BMW spark plug socket. I got it online somewhere. 14mm CR-V it says on it. First I'll take this cover off, which I'm going to assume, yeah, I can feel them. It's got those rubber type of fittings. So I'm going to take this cover off first. So this push pin here, you can work underneath this pry bar. Get that out. And then these are just come out 90 degrees to loosen them. I've already loosened these two. I've removed these two covers. Now we can see the aluminum brace that goes across and all the attachments for the carbon fiber brace. So I'm going to take off this rubber cover here that's got these pins, and then we've got all the fasteners exposed. Is one beautiful piece of rubber there. Left side has an extra pin. Battery is back here in the trunk, and there is the negative terminal, so I'm going to remove that. Word of advice here: when you disconnect the battery, do not close the trunk lid, because this switch here doesn't work anymore with the battery disconnected. So fortunately I had left the pass-through open, so I crawled into the trunk and released the trunk lid this way. There's probably a way to open the trunk with everything all closed up, but I don't want to find out. So just keep that open right there and leave the trunk lid open when you disconnect it. Here's the positive terminal that's exposed, and the reason why we had to disconnect the battery. I'm going to take this carbon fiber brace off. Now it's got several 13mm hex head bolts, so remove those. So three of the bolts are identical, and the short one is the one that goes forward on the radiator support. There's one extra attachment on this side, 10mm for this reservoir. Next thing I'm going to do is take this wire, I guess that's what that is, out of this groove all the way around, and then remove this weather stripping. So I want to make sure I get this weather stripping back in the same place. I'm checking that it basically lines up with where this mark is, this line in the plastic piece that it fastens to. So you get this aluminum plate off. There are Torx fasteners. So I have an E12 Torx for the female, and then on the male I have a T50 right here. The left side has an extra fastener here again for this reservoir support. Keep track of all my fasteners in baggies. two more bolts in the center here, and I don't want to take this off, but BMW is very nice to put in a couple of caps here, make this serviceable so we can get to these bolts. So I need to take this plate off. So there are several fasteners here. Just remove the 6 fasteners and this slides out. It's time to take these off. There are a couple of small torque set screws down here, and disconnect these, and it looks like this is the setup I used to get down there. Pretty long extension and an E10 female Torx. That's an interesting looking fastener. I really need to get this air filter cover out of the way just to get to that, and we got to take it off anyway to change the air filter. So I'm going to remove this connector. You have to press down on the tab right here. Pushing down on this tab didn't work for me, so I ended up using a really small screwdriver and just got gently under that edge right there, and then was able to pop it out. This is T25 Torx. Get this electrical conduit out of here. So now that we got that top of the air filter box out of the way, this is the setup I ended up using with the U-joint and the Torx to get at this rear side intake pipe. I haven't quite figured out all the plumbing on this yet, but I guarantee you we don't want loose fasteners going down into that open pipe there. So I'm going to put a paper towel in there. Ready to take this cover off, and I'm not quite sure what's holding it in, but it kind of has this feel like another engine cover with just rubber grommets holding it in. Conduit is pretty stiff, it's in the way, so I'm going to go ahead and remove this. There's a snap connection right here. So when I remove this, now I can move that conduit more easily. This wire here is still restraining this too much, so I think what I'm going to do is, this has some steel barbs, an insert to it, and I think what I'm going to do is try to work this thing out. Got this harness off. On one of them, a steel retainer stayed with this cover, and the other one stayed with the plastic housing. So anyway, it's off. That'll work, and now I should be able to wiggle this thing out of here. Tired. I want to deal with the spark plugs tomorrow, so I'm going to keep working on getting this air filter cover removed on the driver's side tonight. This one right here is a tight fit, so I ended up using this kind of setup just so I can get as small as possible to reach that one without having to take this reservoir all the way out, which I don't want to do that. So I'm inspecting the accessory drive belt, and it looks like it's in pretty good shape, so I'm just going to leave that there and replace it the next time I change the air filter, or the time after that. Sweetie, is it okay if I leave BMW engine parts all over the den?
Absolutely not.
Now let's get the coils out. So if you pull up this lever, the connector should come off. So now that I'm almost done, I think I'm getting to where I've got a technique to do this by twisting it first, twisting this coil first. And that loosens it up, and then I just So looking down there, you can see it's not a straight shot, which is why you're supposed to use a U-joint with an extension. So they must have had a packaging problem. They couldn't make that a straight shot. So the diameter of these M12, so the torque is 23 Newton meters, and they're supposed to go in dry. I'm going to use my old trusty Montgomery Ward torque wrench, 23 Newton meters. Alright, I got them all done. Next time I'm going to get a very small vacuum attachment and go deep into that hole, because I saw very small black particles in there, and I'll clean them out the next time. I'm ready to put this cover back in, so it has two bushings right here and here that go there and there, and then you've got this other bushing that just is kind of a centering type thing that's right here, and then there's a standoff right here that's got a little rubber button on it that goes somewhere over here. So anyway, so putting that baby back in. Of course, I power wash this cover, even though it's all going to get dirty right away anyway. It's time to put these pipes back in that go from the turbocharger up to the intercooler. So I have to remember to take these rags out of here. So there's a bushing right here that it has to fit into. So I ended up putting it into this end first. Of course, this hose clamp is still loose, and then rotate it down so that this, basically, if you push in right here, then you can find both the hole at the bottom and this ground at the same time. So I reached down in there and hand started that bolt right there. You got to be really careful. I didn't want to drop it and then have to take off the lower pan to find that. these back. And this cover. Alright, we're ready to put this cover back in. These fasteners have thread locker on them. The thread locker looks pretty good. I'm just going to reuse them as is. Maybe the next time I take this stuff off, next time I change the plugs, I'll renew the thread locker. Keep one of these babies handy in case you drop a screw. So I did not drop this screw, I just wanted to show you. Alright, time to put this aluminum cross brace back on. So we'll hand start all the fasteners. Of the big fasteners, the ones with the inside Torx go right here, and the ones with the hex go in the center in this bulkhead. So all these male Torx heads have the same torque. Now we can put these caps back over these bulkhead bolts. Fit this rubber seal back in, remembering my reference point on this side. Now I can route this wire back in. Bothers me that this strut tenon, I think it's just bare steel with no plating on it, which is understandable, but it's pretty rusty. So I'm just going to put a little bit of anti-seize on it, see if I can kind of hold it up on the rusting. I left this air filter in here so that I wouldn't accidentally drop something down in there. And I'll clean this out. Alright, let's go ahead and put these covers on. harness back where it belongs. Alright, put this intake pipe in. So it goes into the hose here, and I have to remember to get this snap connection right here again. And before I forget, I get this vacuum connection back together, or whatever this is, and the electrical connection. Need to put this hose back into its guide. Alright, it's time to put the carbon fiber brace back on. So for the carbon brace, there are two types of fasteners, the long bolt and short bolt. So the short bolts go in these front positions, and the long ones go in the rear. I should have pointed out that this bracket for the reservoir support, you need to get it with this tab in the hole so that we can get that screw lined up. It's probably better to put that in place before you put down the carbon fiber brace, because it might be hard to get in there after the brace is in place. All of these fasteners for the carbon brace have the same torque. I'm going to start the engine as soon as possible, make sure everything's okay, but I think it's better to get this reservoir tied down first, but I will go ahead and start it before I put these plastic things back on and the rubber. So with these bolts tightened, I'm not in danger of accidentally shorting that positive terminal there. So time to reconnect. Time to reconnect the battery. We need to put these rubber covers on, which are a very complex design. Must have been a CAD designer's nightmare. on these plastic owl covers. So I got to put this engine cover on now. So there are 4 bushings here, and you can see the 4 balls right here. So when I change the plugs in a 911, that takes about 2.5 to 3 hours, and I get my knuckles skinned up. This takes longer than that, but it's a lot easier on your knuckles. We're all done. Let's go for a test drive.